Yesterday, we witnessed a complete domination. UConn played not great in the first half, frankly, but in the second half, they were lights out. Oftentimes, when we talk about UConn, we focus on the shooting. We focus on Kling on the inside. We focus on their great defense. One thing that people often overlook about great teams is what's going on between the ears. We're going to discuss 3 examples of UConn being a very cerebral team and something that will definitely benefit them in their run that starts on Thursday. Let's go. The first example we see is in this Big East quarterfinal where we're looking at them against Xavier. It's going to be a simple play. We're just going to look at a drive where the referee blows the whistle and we're going to see what happens. Okay, 8 gets downhill. Castle reaches in, gets a foul call right there. Boom. Okay, we're watching 10. How does Diarra react? Okay, so Diarra immediately recognizes something and starts pointing, trying to communicate something. He's pointing at Castle. Okay, we're going to turn the audio up, see if we can catch what he actually said.
A bailout foul that time. I mean, Olivari was in all kinds.
Okay, what he was saying right there was raise your hand, raise your hand. So why is this significant? So first off, there's been kind of a culture where it's been you raise your hand if you committed a foul, if you just committed a foul. So that way they're easier able to diagnose essentially what number you are so they can record it in the book easier. And it's also kind of a way of like saying like, I take responsibility, I did the foul. However, it's significant because oftentimes in games, people make mistakes. Like that's just reality things. And UConn's, their players, of these 2 players that potentially committed this foul, they are not equal, frankly. Spencer has way more value that he provides to UConn than Castle does. No disrespect to Castle, they're both great players. So, Diarra in this situation is trying to communicate to them either whoever has the lower amount of fouls should raise their hand so neither of them foul out, or that Castle should raise his hand so that way Spencer is able to stay in the game for a longer period of time. This just communicates how Diarra is essentially thinking on another level, thinking about how the game can be impacted in the long run. This shows a very high level of IQ. The next 2 examples come from the end of the St. John's UConn game, which I also love because it shows that you're thinking at a high level when the game is on the line as well, which is crucial. Okay, we see the ball gets batted around here. I believe Castle's going to drive and or shoot. He shoots and the ball gets deflected out of bounds. Right? Oftentimes in this situation, 1, everyone's making the call, blah, 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 that happens all the time. Referee disagrees, goes the other way. You always see players that are spinning with their fingers right here. This means that they want a review in some situation. However, what is Klingon doing right here? This is what's significant. Okay? He is not just asking for a review, he is saying why it's allowed to have a review right now. So as soon as it hits the 2-minute mark, you're able to review it essentially with no charge, and they can go back and look at who it was. Klingon is communicating this immediately. Right? This is crucial. It's just like players always want to review, like, oh, they got the call wrong, review it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But knowing why the rule set specifically allows them to review it right now and calling for that is intelligent basketball. And then we're just going to keep watching this. The very next play shows why Caravan, who is also calling for that review right there, is also at a high level. This is something that must have been talked about in the coaching staff. It has to have been. Okay, UConn in this time is up by 10, okay, with 1:54 on the clock. This is something I actually tried to communicate this exact thing to my high school team, and they got it, but it took a little bit longer, and it was only the kids that were, how do I phrase this, more cerebrally gifted that were able to understand it at a higher level. Okay, so as this ball goes in, your first instinct is just get the ball and pass it in because that way you don't let the defense get set up. Okay, that's essentially what you're trying to do. However, what does Caravan do? He holds his hand, says wait, doesn't touch the ball. Okay, why is this? The reason he did this is because what is going down right now? The clock is going down. And this just shows the difference between St. John's and UConn. Okay, what should St. John's be doing right now? They should be picking the ball up and giving it to the referee so that way more time is doing that. St. John's had no awareness, didn't even care about it. They were like, oh, it's time to play defense. They're just moving on to the next thing. Caravan instantaneously was like, don't pick up the ball. I got it. And he just calmly lets it bounce there, and the referee has to come get it. It burns an extra 3 seconds off the clock. And yeah, it's like 3 seconds, but that just shows a greater understanding of the game. And he did this exact same concept against Marquette as well. So the goal of this channel is definitely to highlight the more cerebral aspect of basketball and why different roles play certain characteristics instead of just showing dunks, etc. And frankly, this, I think, shows how much understanding of the game can have such a great impact on the success of your program, the success of your team. Clearly, Coach Hurley has a great understanding of the game, and he's able to communicate that to his players, and so they all, as a collective, have a great understanding of the game. I'm excited to see what UConn does in the next couple of days. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe, and have a blessed rest of your day.